Welcome to Digital Dialogues Volume 5 and our first live session. We start this year's event with a topic every medical device manufacturer will be interested in: the quick, economic and smooth testing of new products. And the man who can tell us everything about this crucial topic is also known for his deep insights into laboratories and testing facilities. His name is Manfred Appel. Manfred, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
I'm very happy that you're my first interview partner in this year's Digital Dialogues in the live sessions. Manfred, what exactly is your role at TÜV Süd?
Yeah, actually I'm responsible for medical products in general for TÜV Süd Product Service, for the test labs in Germany and for the notified body, for the conformity assessment procedures for MDR and IVDR. And testing is my focus, that's my passion. I'm by education a medical device engineer, so therefore I'm looking forward for the talk with you.
Sounds as if you found your dream job.
Absolutely, I'm over 30 years with TÜV Süd and I love it.
Manfred, a short time to market is paramount for manufacturers. Why is time so crucial, especially when we talk about medical devices?
Yeah, maybe if you look back the last, say, 10 years, the MDR is a new regulation, and the transition from MDD to MDR and IVDD to IVDR, that was a lot of effort for the manufacturers, and every manufacturer has not endless resources, so therefore they had to focus their resources on this transition, and therefore some innovations experienced a kind of dip, I would say, not completely gone, but a little bit slower, and therefore time to market is definitely an issue, and even more important than ever maybe. Mm-hmm. And there are to my opinion, two arguments why this is so important. There is one, on the one hand side, the economical aspect. So if you are faster on the market, you have a competitive advantage according to your competitors. You can ask for a higher price, for example, and you can invest the money in new devices, and again, you're a market leader. So competition and market leader is important for manufacturers. And the second part is the ethical aspect. A lot of TÜV employees and also the manufacturers and the design interests, they have usually a high attitude and ethical attitude, and they would like to bring these products as fast as possible to the market, these innovations. And at the end, it's the question of quality of life. If you experience a high innovative product earlier, a few years earlier, that is super for our patients, and that's why we are here.
Absolutely. Let's imagine I'm a manufacturer for medical devices and I want to bring it to the market as quick as possible. How long does it take me, to bring it to the market? Mm-hmm.
The answer to these kind of questions is always it depends. That's my favorite answer. I use it only once in that session here. And as always, it depends. Which markets you would like to go to. Just Europe, or is it the US and Asia? So the requirements are different and the testing is longer. The question is also how experienced you are as a company with medical devices. Is it your first device or are you very experienced? In a nutshell, you can say from the day one when the device is sent to our lab, when you receive the final report for an experienced manufacturer, it's up to 6 months around.
Okay.
Can be much longer.
Okay.
Depends.
Oh, by the way, it's not only me that is asking questions here, Manfred. We have a short question and answer session in the end of this talk. So please send in your questions, whatever is coming up to your mind, and I think Manfred is happy to answer them. Aren't you, Manfred?
Yes, I am.
So what makes testing sufficient, time-saving and generally as smooth as possible so that we match the 6 months?
Yeah, absolutely. So I talked to, hundreds of manufacturers in my life, and I can tell you no single manufacturer loves surprises. Mm-hmm. So therefore, they would like to plan everything. Planning is key, and that is very important. Then you have to choose the right partner. That's the second step after planning. So is the lab experienced? Do they have the capacity? How is the reputation of the lab? And the last step, and that is really important, and that's good that we talk about today, that is an early involvement of experts right in the beginning of the design of your medical product. That is crucial for a smooth design, as you asked for, and smooth testing. Early involvement. We have a service, it's called Early Bird Assessment. I like that word, Early Bird Assessment. And yeah, that's exactly what we do every day.
Let's go deeper into the early bird assessments. What exactly do so-called early bird assessments involve?
Yeah. So it's all about whether the products are in compliance with the requirements, and the early bird assessments is something where we start, for example, with an early review of your risk management file, also a kind of documentation review, or your manual, your labeling, things like you can also check separately from the real physical testing. And second part is usually testing of modules. Every device is built of modules, a power supply, for example, and other modules in the device. So we test these modules, which are finally designed already, while the manufacturer is working on other modules. And I think the most important one, and we really highly recommend that to all manufacturers, is the safety concept and safety structure discussion right from the beginning. Because if you design the safety concept right, testing goes smooth and like planned. If not, we realize at the end of a design we have a problem, and then the old rule is true: fail early, fail cheap. Or the way around, it's very expensive if you have to retest something after a year of wrong design.
I guess a very, very important topic for your customers, for our viewers, are the costs, especially for early bird assessment. So how much is it?
Yeah, of course it's more expensive. The hourly rate is higher. You need special experts, you need experienced experts. You cannot, not everybody can do that because it's an testing that a lot of things depends on. Yeah, the whole design maybe. So that we take it serious. But that, to me, the hourly rate is not of relevance, because I always count the full amount of money you need for testing. And then at the end, it's definitely cheaper. We experience that very often, that the whole amount of money for testing is lower if you do it very early, this evaluation, or this early bird assessment, how we call it.
What other aspects should manufacturers consider to ensure a quick market launch?
We mentioned it already, the internationalization. So the industry is, the medical industry is usually very export-oriented. So definitely one of the first things is to define which countries you would like to go to. That's very important. Then you do a test plan, as we discussed, according to the countries, the markets, the standards, other requirements. And then you look for a good and decent test lab which helps you.
So what makes a decent test lab or testing facility? Yeah,
that's I think it's not so difficult. Everybody knows it if you think by yourself what might be a decent test lab. The basis is always the independency. Because most manufacturers test by themselves, but they are looking for an independent review, so independency is one. The reputation is the next one. I just talked, by the way, this day I talked to a manufacturer during lunch, and he said, yeah, we need your test results because your name is very famous, and it was, by the way, also a famous manufacturer. It was not a small and mid-sized manufacturer. So reputation, independency, stability. We are here since over 160 years at TÜV Süd Product Service, and that is also important. And then after that fundament, so the typical testing issues starting, like capacity. You need a lab which has capacity. We have a global network of test labs, not only Germany. I'm responsible for Germany, but I know all my colleagues around the world after 30 years, so we have friends over there. So we have the capacity. The expertise, I think, is, especially in the medical field, very important. We are talking about medical products and not any other easy things. It's complex, so expertise is important. And my favorite topic, to be honest, is the service orientation. I think that is a good test lab has to have a good service orientation, a mindset to help customers, to understand the customers and their needs, and that is, to my opinion, really key and essential.
Maybe other providers say that by themselves, for themselves too. If I were to call you in the middle of the night to ask you, why should I choose TÜV Süd over any other testing labs, what would you say?
Yeah. So first of all, you mentioned other test labs. We know them all, but I think we are the only one, by the way, with the word service in the name. Or we have been the first ones with the word service in the name. Our title is TÜV Süd Product Service, and that was done by intention by the founders because of the reasons I just explained. Yeah, what in the middle of the night? I was auditing 15 years also, globally medical device manufacturers, so I wake up at night very easily and I'm fresh immediately. So therefore it's no problem for me.
Be careful to say that, otherwise you get lots of phone calls.
Yeah, that's not a problem for me. I like the TÜV Süd claim, to be honest. The TÜV Süd claim is add value and inspire trust. And about the trust, we talked already in the last question, the reputation, the stability, the confidentiality, the independency. I like TÜV Süd's structure, to be honest, because it's very independent. There are no shareholders who are taking out the money like with other test labs. All the money we make and the profit is reinvested. So that is, to me, very important. And is, by these two words, inspire, trust, named. And add value, that is something every service provider has to give add value to his customers. Doesn't matter which business we are talking about. And that is what we also already mentioned, the service attitude, the mindset. We talk every day about new services which might be of interest for customers. And that is something which I think makes the difference.
So you're talking a lot about services. What exactly are those services and why are they useful for manufacturers?
If they're not useful, we skip it. So we always try to find useful services, that's right. And it's not so easy because we have a different set of manufacturers. We have small and mid-sized companies, you have global companies, they have different needs. But what is common for all of them is the early bird. I would like to repeat it again. That is very important to start early. Second is what we have not thought, but customers told us that it's important. We call it the expedite service. Okay. If you are in an urgent need, if you are in a situation where you need a testing overnight in a week, then we can provide that. The price is higher, of course, because we have to pay overtime, we have shifts, we work in parallel on your product. So we offer expedite services for customers if they have a need. And what we invented last year was, and is implemented this year, is the service called Test and Go and Agile and Pro. And Test and Go is I name it a more basic service, easy device. Hopefully the name is self-speaking, Test and Go. So you send it in, device is tested, you get your report, done, next. And Agile and Pro is because we talk about innovation and innovative products. You need a little bit more of communication. You need to talk to the experts, to the engineers more often. You have regular project meetings with them. You have, at the very beginning, a long session where we talk about the whole test plan. We usually test in parallel. We have a team of engineers working on the device. We have a transparent digital solution for our customers where they have a transparency over their testing. So that is a little bit more a high sophisticated testing, I would name it.
What else makes TÜV Süd different from other laboratories?
When a customer asking that, sometimes they are asking that question, like in a kind of interview, no? When you have met first time a customer, they are asking, hey, what is different? I always say we are a full service provider, that's number one, and I compare it with a supermarket, a full range supermarket. No? You can buy everything. We have all the typical testings, EMC, electromagnetic compatibility testing, environmental safety testing, electrical safety, mechanical performance, biocompatibility, you name it. That's number one. I'm very proud of our special labs. We have a special ultrasound lab, for example. I think it's still one of the only one in Europe who is accredited in a test lab. So all the other labs are with the manufacturers or in universities. We have special labs for, brand new is our MRI lab, for example, magnetic resonance imaging lab, so where we test implants, whether they are, if you have an implant, and we are all getting older, and you have a metal implant somewhere.
Not yet.
Not yet, yeah.
Unlucky.
But medical industry can help you getting much older, and with a medical implant you can do a lot of things very long. And this is tested whether they are moved around in your body, whether they are getting hot, all these things you don't want to have. So that's tested in our MRI lab. And some more. Now I can't name it all. So we have a lot of special labs available for our customers. A lab without expertise is nothing. So we have the experts for a long time already. We have experts in all areas you can think of, and especially what I'm also very proud of is our pen testing department, our cybersecurity department. We have the pen testers here in Munich, in Germany. You see a lot of issues with manufacturers. I think the medical industry has still some way to go. I also, when I could recommend something, is it early bird and do cybersecurity testing and MRI things. And at the end, we have the capacity. We talked already about it. I just want to re-mention it.
Yeah.
And coming back to the service mindset, what makes us maybe also different is we are evaluating since 4 years, the Net Promoter Score, the NPS value of our test lab. So customers give us feedback, how they like the testing, whether there have been problems, they give us something back in writing. And every month we look at that and that feedback and try to improve ourselves.
Can you tell us a little bit about your daily practice? So what are typical questions from manufacturers? You mentioned some of them, like those that undergo product testing, medical product testing.
Yeah, the typical questions in the first meeting is how much does it cost? How much? How long does it take?
Can you do it in 4 weeks?
Can you do it in 1 week?
Yeah,
these are the typical basic facts and figures questions. Then it's getting more interesting in such a meeting. Then they ask procedural questions. How is it done? Can we send in the device, or can we come with my device and explain it to you? Are we allowed to talk to the engineers? And I say yes. That's we like that. If we are in communication with you, with your design engineers, there is nobody in between the engineer and your engineer. They ask for all kind of, let's say, customs aspects. Now, if you bring in something from Switzerland, you have to talk about customs. And at the end, they very often also ask, hey, you are experienced, you are expert in this field, can you also tell us what are the requirements? And I'm often asked, is that allowed? And I say, yes, it's allowed. It's in 17025, that's a standard for test laboratories. It's mentioned that we have to inform our customers about the requirements, that they know which standards are the actual ones and which one they should use. And at the end, if the customer is very, let's say, detailed, he also asks for digitalization. That's coming more and more. They ask, what can you do with how can we digitalize the whole work we are doing together? And then we can say, and luckily we have since 1 year our so-called UCI portal. It's a customer portal where they can send in documents and we send our reports. And we communicate via that portal with them, because I'm still surprised that we have so many manufacturers sending us confidential data via normal email, and we always try to move them to our portal and say, hey, don't do that.
You have safe service?
Yeah, we have a safe service, we have a safe communication path, you don't have to use that email, and that is very important, I think. Yeah.
What are common fears?
Fears is typical. I'm not experienced. I don't know the requirements. Is it too expensive for me? Do you have capacities? Do I have to document too much? A lot of design engineers don't like documentation. These are typical fears, but in a meeting we can usually clarify all of them.
Okay. So what can you tell us about typical challenges that might occur during product testing?
I would say what happens nearly in half of the testing is a move in the time schedule. The world is changing, and so also in design. So people getting sick, the management decides other priorities for designs. We have non-compliances during testing, and a redesign has to be done. So it's a moving target a little bit always. That's normal, but it's a typical issue. The second is the documentation. Still, everybody knows that documentation is important, but nobody likes it, and so there are differences between, for example, the labeling of the device, the manual, the type plate, the risk management file. So it has to be constant, everything the same, yeah. And so documentation is always a problem, I would say, nearly in every project. And at the end, something which is maybe not so well known, if your testing lasts too long, so for example, it's not done in 6 months, it's done in 3 years, we also see that, the requirements are changing.
Oh, okay.
And when you arrive at the end, you realize...
You can start right from the beginning.
That does not happen because we talk to our customers and we explain it to them. But it's still a problem for them that to redesign it at least in the middle of the innovation process.
Have there been particular product testing that you will never forget?
I like the statement in the German TV, we love Lebensmittel, we love food, and we all love our business. So every testing is really interesting. You have to do with people. It's not just technique, it's also the interrelation and with your customers. But definitely I have one story I like very much and I will never forget, and that is if you work together with the government. And working with the government is different than with normal customers. You have to communicate a little bit more. The communication is also done on different levels. So the engineers, that's okay. But you also have to communicate with my boss had to communicate with the government. And I would not say they have endless resources, but at least it's different to customers. For example, we had in Corona times, maybe you remember the ventilators, the breathing machines run out. And we had a lot of initiatives globally to design a new ventilator by standard components. So standard valve, standard motor, and so on. And a German car manufacturer, a famous one, and a design contractor, contract designer, developed such a device, and we did the testing for them and did the safety concept, by the way, the early bird concept. And we did the testing, and then everything has to be fast overnight. As always. It was expedite.
Overnight.
Expedite at its best. And so we said we need a test device to test the device. There is only a special device for these ventilators, artificial lung. And there have been no devices available in Germany. Ours was, I think, in calibration. And so somebody said, okay, there is one device in north of Germany. And we said, that's difficult, we need it tomorrow. And the government said, where's the problem? we send a helicopter. Oh, wow. So they sent a helicopter, and then a few hours later the device was on our desk and we could do the testing.
Wow.
So that's funny.
Sometimes everything is possible.
Yeah, if you would like to do something and finalize it. Yeah.
Where do you manufacturers find support?
Yeah, support is, we definitely increased our support, our digital, I name it the digital support, tremendously over the last years. So we had white papers for example, for cybersecurity and all kind of topics, IVD testing white papers. We have infographics, we have stories of customers, we have videos, webinars. We have a podcast together with you.
Right, we just recorded episode 19.
I know you very well. I was the first podcaster with you. And we had, I think we have 17 done already.
Yeah, right, they're out there. Yeah. So for our German viewers.
Yeah, it's in German, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's called Norman Checker. Check it out. It's good. It's interesting.
Yeah, so we have the Norman Checker. And we have the so-called TÜV Academy, because just reading things is sometimes not enough. A lot of difficult topics are trained in our TÜV Academy. That's interesting for a lot of maybe also unexperienced manufacturers or new employees of a company. But at the end, it's the project engineer you can talk to. Yeah, so ask him your questions. In most cases, they can help, or they can guide you to a document, or also not a document to TÜV might be also a document from European Commission or a manufacturer association, whatever.
Interesting. Manfred, we've almost reached the end of our talk. Is there anything else worth mentioning for our viewers?
I'm a very optimistic person, and my first rule is always don't panic. If you have an innovative product, that's great. We love it. You can call us, ask us whether we are experienced in that topic and whether we would like to do it. And if we can't help, maybe we can help you with and guide you, as I said, to somebody else. And what I always say to manufacturers which are new and unsure what they should do, should they work with us, and I said, hey, try us. Yeah? We can try early bird, one module testing only, and then the full project can come to us. So you can check out how we are doing.
Excellent. What about if we check out if there are any questions came up? Let's have a look. Let's see if I get this running. Okay, so do we have any questions here? I can't see any. Did anyone write any questions in? Oh, here they are. Oh, plenty of questions.
The cloud takes a while.
Here,
until
see it.
Yeah.
Oh, one person is writing, great to hear about the early bird assessments. Does it include the evidence requirements for clinical performance evaluation?
So we have two, that's a good question because we are talking today about testing in the lab and clinical evaluation is done in the notified body. There is a similar service over there. And the service is called, also brand new by the way, the service is called Rolling Review, so that you do not have to do the full review of your technical documentation right from the beginning. You can start with some modules and therefore also clinical is also one part of that.
Oh, excellent.
Possible.
Thanks for this very good question. Let's go on with the next one. Is the early bird assessment might be of interest. Is it applicable for IVD reagents? Would be great to have detailed information on evaluation of clinical evidence and performance evaluation plans.
Yeah, sounds like this is a question similar to the first one. Yeah? This clinical performance and is a topic of the notified body. We have IVD experts. We are one of the biggest IVDR notified bodies. So therefore, check out with them. And the rolling review is working the same for IVDR and MDR.
Excellent. Can TÜV Süd also be requested to test lab if they are not the manufacturer's notified body?
Of course. Most companies, so we have thousands of customers and not every customer is, one customer is the same. I have only a few customers who say, you are my notified body, and I don't want to have you as my test house because I would like to have a kind of independency. But I think this is only two I know in the whole. All the others, some of them do testing with us, some do the testing with other test labs, and the way around. If the notified body is, I don't know, DEKRA, TÜV Rheinland, whatever, of course we can do the testing for you as a manufacturer. That has a completely different story. Yeah.
I have a question. Does TÜV Süd intend to get accredited as an FDA, ASCA accredited testing laboratory? If so, is there a planned timeline?
That's a difficult story today for you. The ASCA, that's definitely. I can explain it for those who don't know what it is.
And for me?
Yeah. After 17, we do a podcast maybe for this topic.
Absolutely.
ASCA is test lab is, let's say, accepted by the FDA, and the test results we generate are accepted by the FDA without any detailed review. Okay. So that, if we talk about innovation and time to market, that's definitely an issue for manufacturers. Yes, we applied. To be honest, the German DAX has some ideas how to do that, and up to now it does not work. But It's a great question. We have an international lab network at TÜV Süd. Our labs in Japan, in the US, in other countries are already ASCA accredited, and therefore we can offer that service also for our German customers.
Already, or is there a timeline?
We can use our labs over there. It's a little bit more complicated because we work together with them, so the testing has to be done partly at least in their labs, but that's possible already now. Yeah.
Okay.
We did it already.
Good to know. What advantages do I have from the participation of TÜV Süd in standard committees? The committees.
Yeah, I mentioned that in my... the standard committees, and I by myself, by the way, was in the standard committee for a very long time for high-frequency surgical devices. And first of all, not many labs are there. So TÜV Süd is in a lot of these standard committees. And my opinion is that we learn and discuss in these committees also with the manufacturers and understand the requirements of a standard much deeper and much better than those who just read the standard.
Okay.
A standard is written in a very complex way, and they are getting bigger and bigger. ECG was in former times 20 pages, now it's 150. So electrocardiograph standard, for example. And you have to know what is the meaning behind a certain requirement, and where does it came from, and what was the reason why it was invented, what kind of hazards and risks have been out there, in order that the standard committee decided we would like to have a new requirement in the standard. So for me, it's a very important topic. If you ask for a test lab, if you ask for another test lab than TÜV Süd, ask them whether they are in standard committees. And if they say no, then you know they don't know the background of the standard.
Oh, excellent. There's just a new question was popping up. You spoke about implant tests. Do you offer help in developing individual tests that are not yet mentioned in the standards but would be important for proving GSPR?
We don't design tests for a manufacturer. That's his responsibility. Yeah, so that is nothing what we actually do. We are an independent test lab. It's not in our work.
But thank you for the question. What are future plans to digitalize the testing process? Digitalization.
Digitalization is I think a few things will never be replaced by artificial intelligence and by digitalization. Testing is a little bit like that. It's a handmade, let's say, process. We always try to do things a little bit faster and better, or have a certain test set up in our lab which is done more often, several times a day. But in general, testing is very difficult to digitalize. What can be digitalized is everything around. So what I mentioned with the communication with the customer, we also have a project ongoing, a database for critical components that customers don't have to type in in such lists. They have to deliver lists with critical components. We try to have a database for that. So we try to have these supporting procedures digitalized.
Okay. And there's a question about the MDR and the MDD. We talked about that in the Norman Checker podcast. What's the difference between MDR and MDD in EU?
Oh my God.
European Union. Okay, how much time do we have left?
But I can try at least. The big differences are, the clinical data are more important. We have some new requirements like unannounced audits implemented in the MDR. We have other essential requirements. You have to know the European Commission has a very good system in place, to my opinion, that they talk about the state of the art. And a manufacturer, and that's a little bit challenging for manufacturers. They have to always check what the state of the art is, and they have to, let's say, redesign their devices. And a typical example is, for example, mobile phones, iPads. They have not been there 20, 30 years ago. And now it's in the hospital everywhere, and they are dangerous sometimes. And so the standards have to be developing, and the requirements have to be developing. And this takes a while until the new standard is issued. And in the time in between, the MDR requires that you have to think about radiation aspects which might occur and which are new. It's a very general statement, but it shows, okay, if there are other radiation issues out there, we have to cover it.
I have another question left. Have you ever, as a patient, found medical devices that you tested in your labs?
Yeah, of course. When I was in the hospital, I checked the devices. I think not every TÜV employee do so, but at least those who from the lab, I know a lot of them, they check the devices, they check out whether the notified body is TÜV Suite Product Service. It's easy, CE0123, that's our number, and it's on the type plate usually, so you can find it out very easily.
Okay. And everything was all right then?
Everything was all right.
Luckily.
And several famous manufacturers I checked.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Manfred. Always nice talking to you. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Andrea.
So, ladies and gentlemen, all of these insights you just heard can be downloaded on our website. Here's what we've learned today and so far for now. So this was our first live session presented by TÜV Süd Digital Dialogues Volume 5. Manfred shed light on numerous aspects of product testing and provided answers to a lot of different questions. So thank you again and thank you for watching. So now I want to continue with what we've learned today. So first of all, a short time to market is important for manufacturers of medical devices to ensure cost efficiency and competitive advantages. Second, manufacturers are therefore advised to choose their testing laboratories and notified bodies wisely. Aspects like reputation and experience should be taken into account, as well as modern facilities and state-of-the-art knowledge. And third, decent test houses also offer special services like early bird assessments and expedite services, customer-specific service models, which may well guarantee a quick, economic and smooth product launch. And now we had the question and answers. I see no more question is here. So I think it's a wrap.
Yeah, it was
That's
fun.
it for now. So that was our first live session. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had fun. And we see each other next week. I will interview Matthias Bellmann, and it's all about the heart, the most important organ we have. So tune in for a cardiovascular, future-oriented topic. See you, same place, same time. Bye-bye for now and have a great afternoon.